That'll work.
Y'all ready to get rock and rolling?
Let's do it.
I don't need this in my ear. I don't need this at all. Yeah, surround.
Video's recording already.
Yeah, it should be recording.
Should be the bad thing. Hour 10 minutes later.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Should be as a bad thing.
Yeah, we good. All right, see, y'all ready?
Let's do it.
5, 4, 3, 2. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to the Three Good Guys podcast. Today we want to give a special shout out to my oldest brother and his wife, Markeith and Desiree. We appreciate you for allowing us to use your home
Thank you.
as our studio today. Shout out to y'all. Y'all, this is the podcast. My name is Miles. To my left, we have
Leonard.
and to my far left,
Rodney.
and we're going to jump into the good times for the day, all right? Today we'll have a conversation because we are three good guys, but we're also three black brothers. See how I made it black? Anyways, so we're going to just hop into some stuff about us and our blackness today. The very first thing we'll talk about is why you've been on Colored People Time every time we got together,
Actually,
including the very
That's
first
technically not true.
podcast.
I've only been late to 2 podcasts. The first one and today. And technically not today because we said 3 o'clock today.
No, wait. Even when we're at your home recording?
I'm there before you guys.
No, but
I'm
you don't be ready, though.
I'm not late.
You don't be ready,
I'm never
though.
late.
You don't
Never
be
late.
ready.
Well, I think I take the record. I think out of how many podcasts so far?
I don't know.
I think I was on,
I think
on
this
time
is
to
9.
2. Yeah, just 2. The first
Man,
and
this
this
is
one
9?
we met.
That's
Yeah,
crazy.
it's 9. That's crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just we're just fulfilling all the stereotypes.
Well, listen, I'm on God's time.
Oh.
That's what it is. God's time is
Oh.
never late.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well.
May not come when you want him,
But he's always on
but
time.
he'll be there right on time.
Y'all churchy, for real. God is good. I
So-
guess they ain't that church. They ain't respond to that. I need some deliverance.
Nah, y'all, that actually segue into what we're gonna talk about. I'm gonna let you take.
Yeah,
the
go
lead.
ahead.
Absolutely. So we want to touch on a couple things. First, I'm going to ask you guys, how do you feel about being black?
I love it. It's a privilege and an honor, and I think the most beautiful people are black. That's just a personal opinion. Of course, you can have whatever opinion you want, but I'm black, so that's my opinion.
There was a comedian, I believe it was Arnez J, who once said, "Feel good being black, don't it? Feel good being black, don't it? Yeah,
What?
feel good being black, don't
What?
it? Yeah.
What?
So that's how I feel about being a black man.
Yeah.
It feel good being black.
And you?
Man, I love it. I love our culture. I love our people. I love when we get together and, put things in motion. We don't, nobody does it like we do. So, yeah, I love being black.
We have a level of creativity. I mean, when you look at art, it's like always led by black people.
Mm.
So
Which
Okay.
is interesting, but we might get into
even
that
the
a little
biggest
later.
pop star in the world, Drake, is
Wow. We don't need him making a diss record about us next.
Nah. Yeah, well, okay. I'll say
Well, I'm going to
this.
respond unlike Kendrick.
Now, when it comes to when it comes to being black, of course, like you said, we're probably some of the most outgoing people, some of the most eccentric people.
mhm.
I think a lot of things come from us culturally because, or like in the U.S. today, because the world is so much smaller and social media is shared in the way that it is, and we're able to show forth our talents and everything towards the world, and like people love what we do.
Mhm.
What do you think about how, growing up, how that compares to like other cultures? Do you feel like more so African American culture? Let's be more specific here. Like, how do you feel like that's had an effect here, like in the U.S.? Like, what would you say?
I don't know. I think African American culture, it truly seeps into everything. Not quite like white culture has, because that was like the standard for everything. But as time goes on, I feel like what we do and the way we do it is seeping into everything. Like, who would have thought that hip hop would be the number one genre of music?
Yeah.
And,
it hasn't really been around for that long if you really think about it. Compared
50
to
years
everything
is
else.
it's wild. To take over everything as the number one genre is bananas. And not only is it the number one genre of music, so many things out of that, some of which I wish wasn't, but so many things out of that starts to become the norm socially, just around everything, from the way people dress, the language that is used. Like it's a lot of it's coming out of who we are and what we do.
Exactly.
Yeah, our culture is so amazing. I was on TikTok and this guy from like India was rapping, and I don't know what he was saying, but it sounded really good. And I must have played it like 12 times. But that's just a result of like black culture just taking over and just being infectious. We're gonna edit that part out. Definitely gonna edit that part
No,
out.
we're gonna keep that in. Y'all
Yeah.
kept mine in the other time, so we definitely gotta keep that in.
But yeah, man, that's our culture, and it gives you something to be proud of. Definitely, of course, we've got a lot as African Americans that we overcame, but just the ability to just look at all the things that we produce as black people and all the beautiful things that come out, give you something to be proud about. Definitely,
For sure. Yeah, and I think if we really think about how over the years where we came from, being brought into this country to the position that we're in now, as far as our influence, is crazy. So we've influenced this nation like in more than just entertainment in ways. Like we've practically built it, and then now we're pushing it culturally, even to this day. So I mean, it's amazing to think about.
Hey, you touched on something, Leonard. You talk about the things that we went through. Do you think it's because of what we went through that we are the way that we are and we have the impact that we have? Because how would I say it? There's another group of people who come from the lineage of Jacob. I'll put it that way. And
be careful now. You better be careful.
now, they are known for some amazing things after the horrors that they've been through.
Wow. Yeah.
But now, even some people use those things to speak negatively against them. But the things that they're actually known for are things I wish everybody was known for. Like, it would be lovely to be known as the ones who rule specific industries that really rule the world.
Yeah.
Yeah. I kind of forgot your question a little bit because
I
it
was
went
saying,
so long.
do you think that because of what we went through is the reason we have the influence that we have now? Because they went through a lot as well.
Yeah.
I don't think it's because of what we went through. I think it's more so that's what we idolize. So because we idolize looking good, being popular, being funny, being stylish, all that stuff. So the more we idolize it, the more as a culture we produce it, and we just get better at it with each generation, and just better and better and better. So I think that's more so why you see it from the black culture.
Okay.
Whatever you idolize, other cultures idolize being financially stable. So you'll see that, other cultures idolize being the smartest person in the classroom. So you'll see that it's basically whatever you idolize.
I like it.
So would you deem that like a stereotype for for our culture to want to be the eccentric people, the artists, the trendsetters? Is that like, would you say that would be a direct correlation, or would you say like maybe?
I don't know. I don't know, because I can't speak for all black people. So
True.
I don't really know, but I just know that these are the things that we idolize, and as a result, that's the thing that gets, done over and over and over again within our culture, and we just get better at it. Though we get better at being funny, we get better at being stylish, we get better at, producing content for the world, and then that's why you see it as like the number one content producers all around the world are black people.
I mean, I've heard somebody explain it, and I don't know if I fully agree with it fully, but they've kind of said like, us as black people, coming out of where we came from, more so African Americans here in this country, it was more of almost a competitive thing. It's like, okay, we started from ground zero, and then now we're trying to work our way up, and even going back into times where we were enslaved, and you had like different rankings amongst the workers and things of that nature, and then it's just like, wait a minute, he's doing that, like we're competing. I think we compete with each other a lot, and then that kind of helps sharpen like our abilities in any sense, like when it comes to sports or basketball. I don't think, honestly, any culture I've ever been around, I think black people, we're the most competitive. Like, I mean, in my opinion,
A lot of
I agree with that.
everything's very much like, a competition, or if you're bad at it, like we're gonna talk about you, or if you're whatever. So I think that kind of plays into it.
Who's the favorite child? We were just talking about that.
Exactly,
Yeah,
and with us living in such
massively.
close proximity to each other, culturally, like from places that we are, like that was at the forefront every time you stepped out your door. Mainly if you lived in those type of areas. So I think that has something to do with it.
Yeah, and then and right around those lines, like all, I'm not gonna say all, but we're generalizing here. So all black people have heard like you got to be twice as good just to be equal, right? So that does come from where we started from. But I don't find that as a bad thing, though.
No.
I mean, I think it pushes us and drives us to do more and be better. So having that mentality, be twice as good to be equal, it actually helped us out a lot. Well, some people who took advantage of the drive.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I know some stuff we're going to get into, but one of y'all said something that made me think of it, so we might as well hop into the question now.
Mm-hmm.
What are some stereotypes that you like or dislike about black people?
I dislike the stereotype that black people can't swim. And as a black person who can't swim, I highly dislike
I was
that.
about to say, I was like, I'm pretty sure you can't swim.
I like me personally, I don't get too caught up in stereotypes, so I'm not really worried about it. But the one that I do dislike is, black people aren't good fathers. Like that's not true.
Definitely not.
All of our experience, right? We've all known our dad our entire life, right?
Yeah.
And we know excellent fathers, and we're becoming fathers ourselves, and so it's just it's a huge stereotype because I see a lot of black fathers.
Where do you think that comes from, though? Like, I'll answer my own question and say I think a lot of it comes from like mainstream media, in the sense of like you see a lot of movies where like it's the deadbeat father, and of course these are real things that happen, obviously. But on the scale that they push forward that narrative in the media and that where it actually happens, I mean, if you look at the numbers, it's like it's not as more severe as our white counterparts or anyone else. It's like but it's pushed, I think, in that direction a lot. Yeah.
And that is a good question, because I know some people who don't know their dad, but the vast majority of people that I know, even if their parents aren't married, they know exactly who their father is, and he's always been in their lives. Always. So that's a good question. Like, where did it come from? Considering most of us know who our dad is, has known who our dad is. But it's like, the stereotypes that he's not around, he doesn't care. That is real interesting. I like that. That's a good one.
Yeah, I think my stereotype that I just like is I think it's just really in and around intelligence. And the thing is, it's an unfortunate stereotype that's not necessarily pushed. Like somebody's never going to tell you like, oh, you people aren't that smart or anything like that.
Yeah.
But working in an industry that I've worked in for the past 9, almost 10 years, I really do get that vibe from a lot of people. And I'm like, man, like you don't talk to enough people that look like me to understand like just how like intelligent we are. And so I think, I think it comes from, of course, like I said, when your only view of black people is on the TV, and you don't really get to talk to people like or be in those areas where areas where we dominate, like you get a real skewed viewpoint of.
And black women are the most educated group in America, so
talk about that.
We do. Black women are the most educated group in America. So the idea that black people are uneducated is not based on any fact at all.
Exactly.
Yeah, but I mean, we know where that comes from. That's old racist trope. Keep us down, and also to keep some other folks successful because they didn't want us coming.
Okay, but so how have stereotypes influenced your life? Have they had any impact on your life?
I don't know, in like weird ways. Like I remember growing up, y'all know I used to think I was gonna be the next Usher before my voice changed.
I did not know that.
I did.
This is news to me.
How did you not know? I really thought I was gonna be the next Usher. Shout out to
At the church?
No, boy, chill out.
Talking about being an usher at church. Ain't talking about singing.
Yeah, he definitely got to be.
Out.
That's a dream that can still be realized, Miles. We'll get you signed up.
Yeah.
Let me call my mother-in-law right quick. She'll get you set up right now.
Yeah, we help you out.
Get you some gloves and everything.
No, y'all need to chill. But for real though, like shout out to my man Quincy. If you see this back in elementary school, I remember Crafton Elementary.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I thought I was gonna be the next usher. Before my voice changed around 6th, 7th grade, and then I couldn't sing nothing, and my voice was cracking everything. I just stopped singing for like 3 years.
Was that the real reason?
Anyways, no, that's really what happened. But I remember in school, like people would always just ask me, like, hey, "You can dance, right? Dance for me."
Yeah. Okay.
I hated that.
Yeah.
And it's to the point now, like, if you ask me to dance, if you ask me to sing, even a song that I can't sing, if you ask me, I will not do it.
So stereotypes have annoyed you, but they have they held you back anyway?
Nah, I can't say that they've held me back. Heck, in some situations, it pushed me forward. People just expect me to be somewhat athletic, even if I'm the shortest person out there. They just figure, I mean, he's the black guy. He's got to know something about basketball. You know, pick him. Like that.
Yeah.
That happens. And for a while, that stereotype was actually kind of true. But
I get you. Yeah, I think. Wow. So high school, transitioning from, I mean, you know, first of all, high school transition is tough for any kid. But like going in there and then seeing like, okay, now look, I was lucky enough to go to a school where it was a big group of, it was multicultural, so it was like a lot of people there. But I would say one thing that would annoy me, like, so I used to wear my hair out a lot. I had like curls and like a fro for a long time.
Show the people.
You know, it's all going now.
it was the good old days, wasn't it?
Yeah, those were the good old days. You know, I'm reminiscing right now. But like, yeah, like people coming, like touching your hair, like unwanted, like that's real stuff. Like,
yeah, I had a lot of that. Yeah.
I think there was a girl one time in my zero period class. She was like, I was like, man, I'm tired of this hair. Like, I got to deal with it every morning or whatever. And she was like, oh, I'll comb it out for you every morning if you let me touch it. I was like, ma'am, you're not gonna touch my hair. Like, you know,
like you're a pet.
Yeah, like exactly. Like, what do you think I am? So that was a bit annoying. But really, I can't really think of where it's really held me back, or at least visibly. I'm sure that there have been things that unbeknownst to me that probably, I can look back on and probably find out reasons why, because I was black, that I didn't get the opportunity or what have you. But I think more so early on, getting comfortable with who I was, I think I held myself back because I thought I kind of played into some of the tropes.
That's big, yeah.
And so, and then looking at places that I wanted to be and seeing people that didn't look like me in those places, it automatically, a lot of times turned me off to that reality. Like as a kid, I liked baseball as a kid. I didn't really see a lot of black people playing baseball, at least in where I was around. Of course, only example I had was like my uncle, stories of him playing. But, it wasn't just something that resonated with me as much as it probably would have had I seen some people that, looked like me that enjoyed it, or I was exposed to that area. Now, of course, I'm sure that existed at the time, but I just didn't see it. And so majority of what I saw was, our white counterparts or other people that don't look like me. So I think that definitely has a toll. So with that, I actually want to segue into, like, what do you think in regards to representation? Like, how do you feel about in movies right now? Like, we have this big thing going back and forth. Everybody's talking about, like, oh, why is Ariel a black girl? And, like, why do they want to change the color of all these characters? Like,
please don't get
like
me
it's
canceled.
a big issue.
Okay. All right, here we go.
Like, how do y'all feel about that?
All right, so I think representation is great.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the conversation around it is just overblown, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't need a black Superman to feel strong and powerful. This idea of making Superman black, I don't know if you heard it.
Yeah.
It's circling. Like, I don't need it. Like, I'm okay with Superman being white. Like, I got Black Panther, right? So I don't need you to overdo it for representation.
True.
And then also, I really feel like we're blessed to be in the generation we're in, where, like, the opportunity is there for us. So I don't need the representation as much. Is it good for people? Sure, yeah. It's good to look on the screen and see somebody like you. But after a while, it just feels like overkill. And it feels like they're just, what's the word? Now, I don't want to say it 'cause I don't know how to say it right. It just feels like they're just, trying to pacify me at this point. You know?
I think that's representation matters somewhat, but I also feel like when we didn't have representation, we were doing so much more. And
Yeah.
we were so much more intentional
Exactly.
about who we were. I feel like the more we are being, because I feel like a lot of stuff is just being pushed just to say, we got a black man in this position, or we have a black woman in this position, instead of saying, this person is so excellent at what they do, they had no choice but to be the lead, whatever, the head of this, the in front of the camera, or whatever they're doing. And I believe in that way, I think representation may actually be doing us harm, because I think a lot of folks, well, not representation, but the conversation around it, where it's like just seeing means you can, where we knew before that we had ability, but we had to work. Like, just working means you can. Like, folks became leaders, they became doctors, they became actors, they became whatever they became based on their work, and it didn't matter who they saw. Our parents told us, yeah, you can do this, and if you do X, Y, Z, and they would go out and do X, Y, and Z and achieve. But now it feels like, culturally speaking, it's like, oh yeah, you can do this because so-and-so did it.
Yeah, exactly.
But I don't care what so-and-so did.
Exactly.
And you shouldn't care what so-and-so did. You should care about what it takes for you to live the life that you want to live. And I think the messaging, though not intentional, or maybe it is, I don't know, but I feel like the messaging ultimately has changed.
Yeah, I feel like, to a point it was helpful, sure.
Yeah.
But, once we got Obama, I mean, what more representation do you need? I ain't saying, like, good president or bad president. I'm just saying, like, there's a black man in the Oval Office. Like, I don't need any more representation to tell me that I can achieve after that point. So, and that's how I really feel. I feel like you can achieve anything. We're born in a great time period, and just go out and do it. And I don't need a black Superman on the screen to tell me that, like, you're strong and you're powerful.
Gotcha. I'll play a little bit of the
Devil's advocate.
devil's advocate
Or the
here.
light skin.
And say,
wonder why.
Sure. So I'll say, well, okay, so things like affirmative action, like a lot of people say that gave people opportunities who in other positions would not have that opportunity, right? So, for instance, if all the leaders and people that are decision makers in getting into this college or getting into this program or whatever are people that don't look like us or don't feel like they have a duty to our community at all, then they'll just select the people who they feel, they deem worthy upon their own laurels and stuff. So it's good. Some people say it's good to have some type of check and balance in place to say, okay, we have to make sure that we are not discriminating against a certain demographic of people. I'll use another quick example. In banking, they have this thing called CRA, and basically it's Community Reinvestment Act. And what that is they grade banks on making sure that they are providing lending and opportunities to all different areas and low to moderate areas effectively, is just as much as they do it in areas where there's higher income earners. So, just to make sure that they're not just like, hey, we're going to go out and, let the rich people get richer and give them more stuff. And then like, these other people like, well, whatever. So I think a check and balance is due, I think, but like you guys mentioned, it should still be, there's levels to where it can get excessive. Like,
I was about to say that because you say you're going to play devil's advocate. I don't find that devil's advocate at all. Like, check and balance system just makes perfect sense. Like, what the NFL was going through a couple years ago with the head coach situation. Like, if it gets ridiculous, somebody needs to step up and say something. So I wasn't going against that.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, we definitely need that. I was just saying sometimes it do become overkill, and I was more so speaking to the media, as far as representation with the media.
I feel you.
And then the black Ariel,
Yeah, that means nothing to me.
like, wait. I'm not mad at the black Ariel though.
Nah.
Like the people that got mad at that, I'm like, dude, it's a mermaid.
But black people don't swim though.
But if we could breathe on the water, that might change everything. See, that's the thing that's stopping me. Yeah.
I thought the whole, anytime that you take a fictional character,
Fictional,
so it's not real,
fake.
and then you get mad over the color of the character, I'm like, okay, you're doing too, but it's all, nothing about it is real.
Yeah. So whether she was black or white, it's just
And then I get annoyed when people make the examples like, oh, what if we had Black Panther but he was a white man? I'm like, okay, obviously his culture is synonymous with his character. Like it matters actually. So
what is the white population of Wakanda?
I think it's one. I think
Yeah.
what's
the White Wolf? or whatever.
yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's a lot different now. We'll get into that.
Yeah.
But yeah. But yeah. So I don't know. I think it's rough in dealing with people who have such a strong viewpoint about like, you know, this is the character that I grew up on and everything. And I'm like, well, especially when it comes to comic book characters, like if you actually read comics, like they're changed and interchanged so much in the comics all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so people who are actually like hardcore comic book readers, most of them, you know, don't really have too much of an issue with it because it's just like, you know, another telling a story of that specific character that they like. So, yeah, I mean,
that's why Jon Stewart is the best Green Lantern. But
that's
he
it,
is.
you know, yeah.
He's the best Green Lantern.
He is, though.
I think
He
he's
is.
the best because the cartoon was so fire.
Yeah,
That's
because
why.
Absolutely.
what movie was that? The Green Lantern movie. Who did that movie?
Oh, Ryan Reynolds.
Oh gosh, that was the worst superhero
That was
movie I've ever
terrible.
seen.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
the
pretty
worst.
bad.
The worst ever. Was it worse than
Yes.
the Fantastic Four?
Okay, they could both be the worst.
Dang.
Yeah, it was
Nah, I
pretty
think it was definitely worse than. Well, yeah, it was worse than
bad. It was
Fantastic
worse.
Four.
Yeah, it was
I
pretty
was
bad.
asking.
Both terrible movies, but
Yeah.
Both
Yeah.
the new Fantastic Four with was it
Think-
was Michael B. Jordan in it?
yeah,
Yeah, I was not a fan of that.
Yeah, I never saw that.
they were mad that he was a black guy too, and it's
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
That's
So,
what-
but to sum it up, like representation is good, but just don't overkill. Like,
I feel
and then also like I don't want people to depend on representation, you know. And then we have some great representation, and then sometimes we reject that representation. You guys
all the
watch The
time.
Breakfast Club?
yeah.
Sometimes.
So there was a black person on The Breakfast Club, and they said to the black person, "God is good."
Oh,
And wait, let me do this to you. Let me check the house. Let me check the house.
earlier,
Wait,
y'all
let me
feel it.
And we
let me
need
check the
everybody to
house.
participate.
Let me check the house. God is good. And all the time. Okay, well the house is ready. For
Yeah,
it,
they're ready.
You know, but that is I find this person. This is controversial, you know, whatever. But I find this person, Candace Owen, to be a very educated African American woman, but definitely not liked by her community. And when you see that, it's because she's not really aware or in tune with her blackness, because she didn't know God is good all the time.
Well, a couple things.
Yeah, let's
One,
talk about it.
to not know that God is good all the time.
And all the time, God is good.
In actuality, yeah, I get
that might
you.
actually be a problem.
That's a
okay?
problem.
Yeah.
I'm just throw that out there. But two, so I was on my friend's podcast and they were actually talking about her, and they are not fans in the least bit. And
Aw.
you know,
It is what it is.
But I'm not even mad at them not being fans because
neither.
they feel like, yes, she's educated, she's very smart, she's an amazing communicator, but they also feel like she does things intentionally often to make black people look bad. And it's not that she's wrong in everything she says, but the way she says it intentionally plays to a certain demographic, and that's not being true to who you are. And it also downplays the very people that she would say she wants to be successful.
That's really going way far from where I was trying to head with this. I was
my bad.
I was
Go
more
ahead.
so I was more so going with, you know, your community not accepting you. You know, like her community doesn't accept her for various reasons. But I just went with the God is good all the time. And like, do you ever feel like you don't have your black card, so to speak, or has your black card ever
Man.
been revoked? That's an open
Black card
question.
revoked. That's a game or something. Nah, so I don't think my black card can be revoked. First of all,
Okay,
it's not a
assalamu
thing.
alaikum.
I don't know. We might find something out.
You really like what?
Well, look at me. He the one
It
said
just takes time. So you know when things happen, like for instance, if you haven't seen Set It Off, typically you know your black cards are revoked
But I
there.
sing Set It Off. We're good.
But you know it's always something.
There
Like,
is something.
There's always
There's
something
something
that
somewhere.
that you don't you know.
there's definitely something.
Yeah.
Somewhere. What's
I
up?
don't know how to play spades.
You know what?
And my problem with not knowing how to play spades is the people that know how to play. Let me talk to y'all, okay?
Oh, goodness.
Because every time a black person say, I don't know how to play spades, they, oh my gosh, what's wrong with you? You know how to play spades? Why a black person don't never say, I'll teach you?
Mm-hmm.
Why can't we get that, Markeith?
Wow.
Because he know how to play. He been on me for 33 years, never taught me once. Ain't that cold?
You know, I'll be honest. In saying like I just recently, well, I won't say recently, like in the past couple years, I've learned how to play spades.
Yeah.
And I'm not very good at spades, as good as I would like to be.
Uh-huh.
So you know, I do get a little bit nervous, like around my counterparts, and be like, "Oh, you want to play spades?"
You
And
gotta
I'm
play
like,
online first.
I'm like, "Yeah, let me brush up. Let me go reread the rules real quick, make sure I'm straight." Like, you know, and then especially like, "Oh, you got a partner who's experienced." I'm like, "Yeah, you can play with me," and I'm just like, "Look, I don't want us to, you know, have a falling out here." So, no, I get you though. That I would say in addition to that, like. Okay, so I sent you guys a little meme video the other day,
Mm-hmm.
and this guy basically said like, if you are a black person and you don't like go to church or grew up in the church, then your black card is revoked. And you know what? I don't know if I fully agree with that, but I will say like it kind of sucks if you're black and you never grew up in black church. Like I got a friend of mine,
and you said black church, not just church.
Yeah, black church.
Yeah, it's a difference.
Like growing up in black church is the greatest thing ever.
Uh-huh.
Like I tell people all the time, like you will never laugh harder. You'll never like experience.
Yes.
Man, listen, we got stories. We could do a 5-hour-long podcast.
Wait. We know exactly how different people shout.
Exactly.
We know what song gonna get them to shout.
Uh-huh.
You know what I'm saying?
When we talk about, because we gotta talk about this one day. We
love black church.
We gotta bring some friends on.
Absolutely.
Love black
Talk
church.
about black church.
Absolutely, yeah. We get some stories going, but man, like I feel like that may be a genuine black card revocation. You know, because I mean, like I said, I got a real close friend of mine. He's like, I never really went to church ever. Like my parents, you know, some of them did, but I just never went. And so a lot of times I'll be making jokes and stuff like that, and like I'll say something that's like kind of church related, and most black folks, you know, can resonate with the joke, but it goes clear over his head, and I always forget, and I'm just like, man, you know. So,
That's
rough.
funny because I got a friend. He's actually atheist, but he grew up black church, and he said, "Won't he do it?" The other day, and I'm like,
Yes.
"Yes, he will." Won't he do it? You know, I told him like, you know, the internet went out, so I ended up not working that day. He was like, "Won't he do it?" I was like, "Sure will, buddy."
Uh-huh.
Yes, he will.
That foundation's still built in
It's
there
still
somewhere.
in there.
Yeah, we're gonna work on that.
Yeah, man.
Absolutely.
Black church is crucial to the black experience. Just okay. First of all, when you take it back to the civil rights movement, it was led by the black church, so it's always been crucial to the black experience. But then, now we've gotten more liberal, and so we've gotten away from the black church. And we always say, black people aren't a monolith, and we're not. But it is cool when we have things in common.
Absolutely. I think one thing I will say from other cultures that I almost say I get a little bit jealous of is like when you see like guys from like you know, New Zealand, and they're doing their little hockey or whatever that thing is, and it's just like it's such a rooted into their culture thing. And us as African Americans, like we just go far as back as slavery for a lot of us, and that's it. And like we're like building our rooted culture, you know, now, and of course a lot of that takes place in mainstream media now. But I think having that stronger connection like that, like I think that brings us together more. Like, and I think that's why those communities are so tight knit.
We got one thing that we always had, playing the dozens, roasting.
Yeah, that's it.
Black people from everywhere, from every time.
Yeah.
That's what we do.
I don't support bullying at all, but talking about people, I'm all for.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Listen,
A roast session.
hold on. Everything in moderation.
Everything in moderation.
A little bullying
It's good for you.
It's good for you sometimes.
It teaches you how to handle adversity,
Absolutely.
right? It teaches you how to outsmart someone else, use your brain,
Exactly.
and it also teaches you not to grab a gun and shoot up a school.
Exactly.
So
And it
there's that.
forces you to learn to laugh at yourself.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
Which
I like
wish
that.
some people could do.
Absolutely.
Because I can't tell you how many times. Y'all know how tall I am? Can you imagine the jokes that happen in school?
they happen all the time.
Golly.
Yeah.
I just thought of 3 just right now.
Yeah.
Sticks, so when I finally got to high school,
Mhm.
this boy Sticks was always with the jokes.
Yeah.
This Andrews, his name is 6'5", and I am like the exact.
Not even 5'6".
I wasn't gonna go there. You didn't have to do that. You feel me? But let's just say Andrew had a good time making jokes about your boy. It was funny though.
It was funny. Somebody was watching the podcast and he came over. I worked with him, but we worked virtually, so it was the first time he actually seen me in person. He was like, "Dang, Leonard, you short," and I was like, "Yeah, my brother's shorter than me." He was like, "Not the one that be all amped up on the podcast." I was like, "Yeah." He was like, "He too short for all that energy."
People think I'm amped up.
Yeah, people think I'm tall.
Yeah.
I mean, like, how do you think that? Like, no picture. Look at all my pictures. I'm the shortest one in the picture. How do you come to that conclusion?
I don't know.
Yeah, it just is what it is.
So one thing I want to kind of segue into as well is so talking about blackness and things like that. As far as like our counterparts, and a lot of people have issues, or a lot of our people, more so now. I've been hearing in conversation, podcasts, and everything about like cultural appropriation, like how that affects black people or black culture, and like how do y'all feel about that? Because
before we go, can someone Google the definition of cultural appropriation?
I'll pull it up for you.
Because I don't want to.
Well, I'll give you
I
a
know
quick
what I think
like.
it is.
Okay,
but I
want to hear the Leonard definition off the top. Listen, there's no wrong answers here, sir.
Yes, there is.
Well, there is, yeah, but
someone,
you know,
someone go ahead and
you can
just
give
give
me
me
a
the
ballpark.
definition, just so we on the same,
Let's
so
see.
we all on the same page. But yeah, and the LB version, you know, is taking black culture and using it for your own reasons or whatever.
Okay.
Right? But I want to hear the right. I
You
want to
ready?
hear the before I get into it. Go
You
ahead.
got it there.
Yeah, it says the unacknowledged or inappropriate adoption of the customs, practices, ideas, etc.
That's
of
all I need
one
to hear.
people or society
The
by members
unacknowledged.
of another,
Yeah.
and typically more
Okay.
dominant people. Or
Okay.
so
Read
'Cause
that
I-
one more time and read
Unacknowledged
it like
changes
you
everything.
covered.
I like that.
yeah, because that last part.
Do that.
Okay.
I'm gonna,
The
don't-
unacknowledged
uh-huh.
or inappropriate adoption of the customs, practices, ideas, etc. of one people or society by members of another, and typically more dominant people or society.
Okay. Yeah, I needed that because I was gonna be like, I don't care. Oh gosh, don't cancel me. I was gonna be like, I don't really too much care what people think about cultural appropriation, but you know, when the word unacknowledged came in, that made it completely different. Because when they were saying that Travis Kelce invented the fade,
That's correct.
that bothered me. It boiled my blood because we've been. You go to any barbershop, point to number 5 on the little hair thing, and that's a fade.
That's a
You know what I'm
fade.
saying? So I had a problem with that. Yeah.
And shout out to Travis Kelce for being clear that that's not something
Yeah,
that
he did.
came
Yeah,
up
he
with.
did
Yeah,
his thing. Yeah.
He goes to the black barbershops. He said he went there one time and he been stuck there ever since. It's been like 15, 20 years.
Yeah. I think all cultures borrow from other cultures.
For sure.
I think that's totally acceptable. It's what makes us beautiful, especially here in America. Access to other cultures, you know what I'm saying? We borrow other cultures' food, their clothes, their music, everything. But it's the unacknowledged part. I do have a problem with that. When you start taking on things and acting like you invented it and not giving credit to where credit is due, whether it's in culture or anything, that's plagiarism, right? So
Like
that's my
like
problem.
when folks decided that big lips was a good thing, all of a sudden.
they just finally wisened up. That's it.
Yeah.
You know,
Listen.
black people been on it. We know what we doing.
For sure. No, so I was listening to a podcast a while back, and it was a few females that were talking to a few women where they're talking to another young woman who was a white woman, and she grew up in, you know, a black community. You can tell by the way she talked, by like her surrounding. It really felt authentic to me. Of course, I could be wrong, but they were just on the subject of like bonnets. Like, okay, we see black women, you know, wearing bonnets and everything like that. And then if you go and reviewed her page, like she had a ton of like bonnets on, and you know, she's a white woman with straight, you know, normal hair. And I'm like, okay. And she was like, well, the way you style the bonnet and the way you're doing it, like that's appropriation because y'all people don't do that like that. And I was like, okay, wait a minute. So it made me think a little bit because they were kind of on this girl and like really going in on her, and she was trying to defend herself and say, no, this is just like part of like, so how I always known to wear it and everything like that. So when you have people who are, you know, our white counterparts or whomever who grew up around us and take on our customs and cultures and everything, and it feels authentic
No,
to
they
them,
can't
would
say
you?
the N word.
Exactly. You know, there's lines to be crossed. But how do you feel about like? How do you feel about that? Do you feel like they have to apologize for like being
No,
authentic?
absolutely not. And no one can tell you what's real to you. You know what I'm saying? No one can tell you what's authentic to you. So if you are another race and you grew up around the black race and you take on their culture, I can't tell you what's real to you and what's not. But like from the outside looking in, people will make comments and they'll be like, "Oh, they fake. They trying to be black or whatever." So at that point, you just gotta let them think what they think. But your own people will know.
Yeah.
You know, the people in your neighborhood will know. The people in your community will know. So that's my take on it. I don't mind other cultures sounding black or anything, but that's probably because I grew up in a predominantly white neighborhood. So I'm used to being the odd one out, and I don't want to be, oh, you're trying to be this and you're trying to be that, when I'm literally just doing what's around me and in my neighborhood within reason,
Gotcha.
of course.
So would you say, like, if someone who is, and this is to you as well, Miles, of course, someone who's like white, and in first view of him, he doesn't really look like, you know, somebody that may be from where we're from or anything like that, and then you hear him talk and speak, and you're like, oh, like, does that set you back? Like, just, you know, in your first impression of somebody?
Yeah, it'd be surprising. You hear,
Set you back?
well, I don't know what you mean by setback, but it's
just
surprising.
Like, kind of shocks you, or like, you know, it's a little bit like, it's a little off. Like you weren't expecting that.
Yeah,
basically.
you see somebody with a comb over and a polo, but they sound like Snoop Dogg. Yeah, that's a little different because that's just not what you normally see from that appearance.
Not me. I'm inviting them to the cookout. You know, that's all it is. They invited to the cookout, so it doesn't. Set
So
me back.
that's why I said I don't know what you mean by setback. Like, because to me, I just thought you meant like, is that surprising? Like,
Yeah, so like, okay, for instance, what I'm trying to get at is, you know, for me, even for myself, like if I see somebody who I wouldn't normally, because we first and foremost we judge people from the first moment we see them before they open their mouth,
and everybody does
with what they have on, anything, and so we automatically kind of expect a certain result to come out, especially maybe by the way they're dressed or how their appearance is. But like, it does kind of set me back a little bit, and it does make me wonder, like, okay, is this authentic? Especially if it's approached to me exactly. Like, for instance, I work with customers who I know for sure don't ever talk the way that they talk to me to all of their people and their friends and everybody around them, but they just feel like, because like, hey brother, what's going on? Like, you know, they feel like they have to do that, and I'm just like, man, you honestly could just talk. So yeah, it does make me wonder.
Fake.
Yeah,
definitely.
It does make me wonder, I think, and I think it just makes me want to get more information.
Yeah,
honestly, about
I think usually if it's authentic to somebody, usually you can tell.
Yeah, I feel like
you might be surprised, like, oh, that was not what I expected. But after a second, you be like, oh yeah, that make this. You clearly grew up around a lot of us.
Like, where you from?
But but then when you're around folks who, you know, it's like somebody with a bad accent. That's what it feels like sometimes. Like, bro, you got a really bad, like, this isn't what you really do. You don't really talk like this. At that point, I'm like, yo, who's the real you? Just bring that person. Like, you don't got to lie to kick it.
And the real you is the best version of you. That's for everybody, no matter what your culture is or your background or whatever. Just be you. And you can hang out with any other culture, especially black people. Black people are the most accepting people of all. We accept everything. Like I told you guys about the little party we had at my job. They were playing this Indian music, and like the Indian people, they all ran. Like they took off full speed, ran and started like jumping in a circle with one leg up. And next thing you know, all the black people was right next. La, 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 la. You know, black people, we accept everybody. So just be you. Just be your true, authentic self at all times, man. That's what's important.
Yeah, I like that. And you know what? I might have joined in with them.
Man, it was awesome, man. It was awesome, yeah.
Cause I saw the video. I saw some black folks in your video. I was like, look at them.
Black people,
they never did that before today.
Black people, we accept everybody and everything. We're a little too accepting sometimes, but
that's a whole nother topic.
But we accept everybody and everything. Oh, dang, there was one way I wanted to go with this though. Oh, speaking of your culture, like, how important is your culture to you?
I think it's hugely important. You know, culture is, man, culture basically puts when it comes to community, it makes you feel more at home, almost. It's just, like, for instance, whenever I speak with people on my job and I ask them about their culture, I ask them something specific. Like, recently I've been trying to gather information on a good African or Nigerian place to go eat food.
Mhm.
And so all of my African or Nigerian customers, I'm like, okay, look,
Let
I've
me know
been
when you
asking
go.
everybody.
Let me know when you
I'm
go.
like,
Yeah.
for sure. I've been asking everybody, like, hey, where's a good spot to go, like, eat your authentic food, like a place. He was like, oh, I'll cook you something myself, or I'll make you some jollof rice, or you can go up
Mhm.
to this place. And so I can just see the walls that break down, like, just with that question. And like it can be a silent, a really down to business thing. But as soon as I ask them that, like everything opens up. They talk about they appreciate that you're interested in their culture and where they're from. So I think it's hugely important. Like it's major.
Yeah. First of all, speaking of black folks and Indian food, I'm here for it.
Yeah.
I am here
Amazing.
for it. But that's a whole. Anyways, no, I think culture is important, especially since culture is what the culture around you is what will shape and define you.
Mm.
So when you ask someone, is their culture important? It's kind of like, do I like what shaped and defined me or not?
Mhm.
Because if I disagree with what shaped and defined me and I'm running away from it, culture doesn't mean anything. I'm doing my best to break from it. But if what raised and defines you is something that you see as positive, you want to keep that thing going.
Yeah.
So in that aspect, I would say, yeah, it's super important. I think that's part of the reason why so many black folks here in America have so much in common, because what raised us and kept us going was actually ultimately good.
Mm.
And so we're keeping all this stuff. We're keeping the greens.
Mhm.
We're keeping the jokes. We're playing spades and all this stuff that lifted our spirits and kept us alive. We're not running. If we hear danger, we're not running to the noise, running away from
Yeah.
it. If I see you running, I'm running
Not
too.
asking no
Not asking
questions.
questions.
No
Like,
questions.
Mhm.
All this stuff is just stuff like all that was beneficial to us ultimately. So like, yeah, that's our culture. We like that. We're rocking with that. We're gonna keep that going.
So, so you're a black man, right?
Mhm.
So you're black culture. I'm just making sure.
Yeah.
Okay, you're black culture.
Black adjacent.
Black Jason.
Oh,
Okay,
goodness.
and you're Christian.
Yes.
Okay, and you're Christian.
Christian adjacent.
Are there ever times where culture and Christianity collide?
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially here. This is America's all I know from experience.
Uh huh.
Collides all the time. All the time. Like, we're not going to get into politics. To be clear, I am neither on the left nor on the right. And one thing, little detour for a second.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that annoys me is when people ride hard for the left or the right,
yeah.
as if either side is here solely for you. Why do you not ride hard for what is actually best for you?
Mm.
That is so annoying to me.
Okay, I know what you mean.
But anywho,
Yeah.
politics oftentimes collides as a believer,
Mm-hmm.
and people expect you as a black man to think one way, or they expect you as a Christian to think another way.
Mhm.
And I'm like, my brain works perfectly fine for myself,
Mm-hmm.
and I can figure this out on my own. I have no need to lean this way because I was born to two black people, or to lean this way because I said that I love Jesus.
Mm.
Okay.
I agree wholeheartedly. I think a lot of times, just as we mentioned before, like black people aren't monoliths. I even believe Christians are not a monolith.
Yeah.
I think we're more so closer to agreement to who Christ is and what He did for us. But a lot of times, as we are working out our own salvation, we align ourselves with certain things. Now, of course, there's some definitely hard, commandment type things that we're not going to stray from. But I mean, man, like, not to go too far off to there, but I mean, it happens so often. Like, for instance, even in that conversation I was mentioning about on that podcast, a lot of the women that were talking to this young lady were Christians, or were claiming to be Christians, and they were like really not showing forth the fruit of being a Christian. Like, so the way they were talking to her, especially because she was not being disrespectful or anything like that. And I'm like, wait a minute, like, you're writing so hard for your blackness, but you forget, like, if you're a Christian, like, how are you supposed to treat your neighbor? How are you supposed to treat your brother, your sister in Christ, or or anyone at that? And so I'm like, let's bring back Christianity being the forefront, or our life before Christ being the forefront, and then our blackness is somewhere under that.
Okay, so Christian first, black second.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, of course, I was born, before I knew who Christ was.
You was black.
I was a black man
Straight out the womb.
out the room, or a black boy. But of course, when I realized, what Christ done, of course, I wouldn't be here without. I mean, yeah, he
So-
goes over that.
Can I?
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, can I say with that, Christian, not cultural Christianity, like follower of Christ first.
Absolutely.
Yeah, of course.
Because-
Because Christianity is a culture in
Yeah.
itself.
Yeah.
That's a whole
Because
nother
some people hear Christian and they think that you're gonna do everything that this person does, or you think everything this person believes. And it's like, no. When I say Christian, I mean a follower of the teachings of Christ, and I will gladly put that first, because no one, anywhere of any religion, race, or creed has an issue with what Christ taught.
I like what y'all saying. I got another one for y'all. Anybody can answer this. What do you think about the phrase "righteous and ratchet"? Come on, one of the
mean-
most famous gospel artists in the world was talking about righteous and ratchet not too long ago.
I mean, it's interesting because ultimately it depends on who you're talking to. But me personally, I don't. When I think of the word ratchet, I don't know what the benefit of ratchet is.
Come on now.
Like when do you hear the word ratchet and you think of that as a positive thing?
Yeah.
So I wouldn't want to be righteous and ratchet because I wouldn't want to be ratchet. I have yet to see ratchet as the thing to be. Now, you might be righteous and I'm still from the hood, and you can see that sometimes.
Yeah.
You might be righteous and you ain't gonna just step to me and talk to me any kind of way, which I think that in of itself is righteous too. But again, that's another conversation.
I mean, if I'm striving for righteousness, I'm trying to stop being ratchet.
Oh,
Like I'm
okay.
trying to
I like
evolve.
that. I
I'm trying to
like
be
that.
changed.
Yeah.
So I don't think there could be, hand in hand. It's and now of course I get the phrase and I get what it represents. It's just like saying, you're still being authentic to, I guess, where you come from or some degree, especially in Black community, but you're also striving for righteousness, or it more so is, I think, like people try to equate it to like a grounding thing, like, oh, I'm just like you, but like I'm a Christian, I'm a
still
follower of
human.
Christ. Yeah, I'm still human, basically. But I don't know if I like the phrase ratchet. I would say I would want to be changed from that,
What about you? You just gonna ask the questions and not give answers?
That's how I do.
Not today.
What am I answering? Which
The question you just asked.
Righteous and ratchet?
Yeah.
I don't. Kind of like you. I just think it's bad wording.
Yeah.
Like I get what they're trying to say, but I just think it's poorly worded, because I don't see the benefits. Like you said, I don't see the benefits of being ratchet. And when I think of ratchet, I just think of like nasty.
See his face change.
You know what I'm saying? Just like think sexy red. Just,
Oh, come on, bro.
Man.
what, y'all don't think that when y'all think ratchet?
I
I
never
mean,
think
yeah.
her for anything.
Yeah, he said, yeah, exactly. Like, that's what I think, and I'm just like, there's nothing in that atmosphere that I want,
Yeah.
But if
In
you
and
if you
around,
were saying like black and righteous, yeah, that's me. Yeah.
For sure.
I got a random question. So, when you hear the word ratchet, you said you think sexy red.
Unfortunately,
What's the image that pops in your head?
It's not even.
this is
really
a children's
image.
show. This is a family show.
Yeah. It's not really an image. I just think of that Emmanuel Hudson like song. Songs always pop in my head. So like,
I'm ratchet.
yeah. That's
okay.
the first thing that comes into mind. But then of course, he's playing up a character who is like, a ratchet person, or talking about her. I don't know. But yeah, that's what the first thing that pops into my head.
I think of a girl dancing with her Plan B in her hand.
Oh, that's
Oh
disgusting.
my god.
What? That was on the music video. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
So bad.
Okay, so I'm the only real one and
So bad.
really Christian in the room. Everybody else just saved, sanctified, and too holy. Okay,
I
see
don't
how
know
it is.
about too holy, but I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, good. You don't need to know.
Well, obviously
bad.
something had to pop into your head if you asked the question.
Yeah,
Yeah.
when I think about ratchet, I think of how folks feel about the difference between Walmart and Target.
I go to Target. I go to
That's
Target.
a great
And,
example.
I'm a Target fan.
and the way people present themselves in Walmart, like the examples that people would use
It's
for
actually
Walmart.
Tarjay.
Okay,
Yeah.
Target.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
This guy. The examples people would use for Walmart, that's what I think of when I hear ratchet.
Mm.
Yeah. So I don't encourage righteousness and ratchetness. I don't. If you want to stay black, cool. But black and ratchet are not the same thing. And I think
Yeah.
we got to make sure we let people know that. Because black is excellent. Black excellence.
Come on now.
For
You
sure.
know?
Come on now.
I like
Say
that.
it loud. I'm black and I'm proud. Come on, yeah, that's
But
what I'm
see,
talking
we all
about.
know that though. We
I
all
like
know
that.
it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been another one that went right over Miss Owens' head.
Yeah.
Wall,
Candace
for
Owens,
real?
Yeah, she
maybe.
would have missed. She would have
Yeah,
missed.
You don't
that.
think she'd have got that one?
Nah,
I wonder if
she
she's
would've
seen
got
the movie Friday.
She probably has.
She had. Nah, you got to see Friday.
I think so. Right?
All my white friends seen Friday.
I hope so.
That's new age white people though. You know, they watch Friday. They like our stuff.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, they sell out shows. You know.
That's a fact.
Matter of fact, what's today's date? They probably watching How High right now.
Yeah.
Wow. So I forgot. Today is 420, and we're gonna get real controversial. As we
Okay.
know, black people have been very fond of the marijuana.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So as Christians, and you ain't gotta put your business out there. I'm not asking what you do. I just want to know what are your views on the marijuana.
Who wants to go first?
I guess I'll get it out the way
Woo!
first.
Okay.
I like this.
Okay.
He
so-
used it every other Tuesday.
Yeah. Not every other. Maybe every. You know. No. Okay.
Well, watch the-
But okay. So let's start with the baseline. If something is illegal,
It's
you don't
illegal.
do it. It's illegal.
Mhm.
Okay. You follow
Mhm.
the law of the land.
Okay.
Let's get there first. If it is in a place where it is legal, I don't see too much of an issue with it because my
Ooh,
thing
you a
is
bold
always
man.
this.
You a bold man.
Listen, my thing is this. There's everything in moderation, and
In
there's a use
moderation.
for specific things.
Yeah.
So, for instance, there's medical marijuana. People actually use it for pain relief, for things that it actually, if you look at the product of what it is that
Mhm.
it does for people in a positive way, it's actually it could be very valuable for people.
Mhm.
So, for me to say just totally say it's just wrong,
Mhm.
I can't really say that. But I will say if you're not using it for those reasons, and you're using it in an illegal manner or something like that, then obviously,
Good
you're
answer.
wrong.
Very polished
I like
Christian,
that.
safe
Yeah,
answer.
I like
you
that.
know,
It was still
that's as
edgy.
far as I'm
It
gonna
was a
go.
little edgy, but it was pretty good.
Mhm.
So me personally,
So you're not going to hell if you smoke weed. Okay?
Yeah.
yeah, I don't think you're gonna help with
No.
smoking weed. That, but
That's my 2 cents.
I think that's hilarious.
Bust hell wide open.
Yo. So one, I do think that it is medicine. I really think it's medicine.
Mhm.
Definitely.
But I have 2 issues. One, using medicine just for the sake of like, if you're just taking medicine, there's a problem.
Exactly.
You should not just be taking medicine.
Mhm.
But I say that again. I don't take it just to take it.
I take Z-Quil.
So
I take
what
that
you're getting
when
at
I'm
is
not feeling well. I don't know what you're talking
medicine.
about.
Medicine is supposed to heal something or supposed to
Yeah.
remedy something.
Exactly. I don't know what this guy. I literally don't know what he's talking about.
And so a lot of
But-
times we use things as vices to remedy things that's not the actual medicine for it. Like if you're depressed, if you're not happy, if you're not having a good time, I want to drink.
Yeah,
Like,
that's a
That's
problem.
not a remedy.
That's a
to,
problem.
That's not a remedy to your issue. It's just a passive. It's something that pacifies it, or whatever.
But
So,
my
yeah.
biggest problem with it, this is my biggest problem. How is it possible that for the vast majority of people who use it, they don't need it at all,
Mm-hmm.
and still we got folks in all kinds of jails, in all kinds of trouble, losing all kinds of money
Mm-hmm.
over something that's not needed. I don't like the fact that we are so tied and connected to something that, though it in and of itself may not be detrimental, you choosing to go to that has proven time and time again to be detrimental.
Yeah,
And I don't like the fact that we haven't had the mind to just steer clear or learn how to do things in a way that doesn't put us in a bad spot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you bring up a good point. Both of y'all did when you were saying like if it's illegal. I think about like the athletes that have lost money
Yeah.
trying to say like, oh, it's my right or whatever, and I'm
off
like,
the
yeah, like it's not worth it, bro. Like it's not
It's
worth
not.
it.
Never is.
But my views on it, as a Christian, like what's the Christian perspective? So if you're not a Christian, because we've been getting a lot of non-Christians saying stuff, and I'm like, this ain't for you. So
Mm-hmm.
if you're not a Christian, do as you please.
Yeah. Do whatever you
You know what
want.
I'm saying?
According to your laws,
But
whatever
for
they are.
those of us that are, I think of it kind of like how I think of alcohol, right?
Mhm.
And so I don't think it's the most beneficial thing for you. I think it could put you in a bad position. I don't think it's a go to hellable offense,
Mm-hmm.
but I
Man,
do
that's a brand
think,
new word.
but I do think that it can rob you of your potential.
Exactly.
I think it can rob you of your ministry,
Mhm.
even if you can do it in moderation. But if you are now seen differently, now there's a whole group of people that you can't reach. I talk about it all the time. Like, as a Christian, there's things I don't do. It's not because I think that they're bad, and I'll let other Christians, not let, but I'll see other Christians do it, and I have no problem with it. But I got to think about my ministry as well, because at the end of the day, we got to get people saved.
Absolutely.
We got to show people that Jesus loves them and find a way to open that door. So I'm not, as a Christian, I'm not saying a total ban on it, but I am saying I don't see the benefits.
Yeah, we see the fruit that it bears by people who engage in it so much and what it looks like or what it represents for a lot of people in our community, and it's overwhelmingly more negative than positive.
Definitely.
In regards to viewpoints or how we're looked at or how it's, it was sold illegally in our neighborhoods, and it was things like that got people put into jail, got fathers separated from children, like all that kind of stuff. And so, because I think it's almost sometimes masked in the sense of like, well, it's not that harmful, which actually scientifically it isn't as harmful as a lot of people had deemed it before. But at the same time, it's been harmful to our community regardless.
Yeah.
Just as like medication, or what's the word I want to say, prescriptions that our white counterparts that get and they get addicted to. It's like the same thing. It's so yeah, it's something. It's controversial in the sense because I understand the potentially how it does actually help some people, and that's not just a reach. It's just a fact of the matter. Just look it up.
Definitely.
But at the same time, if it is a distraction away from getting people to see Christ in you, then that's something she definitely need to consider about changing.
Yeah,
I think that's a great word. I think distraction's a great word because I think that is my biggest issue with it. Not necessarily the use of it, but just what it does in different situations. Like, it makes people look at you different. For some people, it changes the people that you are hanging around, because for a lot of folks still, like even here in Texas, it's not legal here in Texas. So you can only get it by going around certain kind of folks that's willing to do certain kind of illegal activity. Not that using it in and of itself is bad, but what do you have to do in order to use it? Who do you have to connect yourself with in order to use it? Who do you have to be around? That in and of itself, for me, makes it not worth it if it's not medical.
Okay, I think we got a consensus here.
Yeah.
But I also want to highlight, there's other things that we do that's worse, like cigarettes. Just giving people cancer. So do what's good for your health overall. That's that's what I want to tell people. Do what's good for your health.
Absolutely. So gentlemen, do y'all have any final words, or to the folks that's here? Is there anything about being black that y'all want to say? Y'all want to touch on? Any experiences? Anything? X-Nay? Just being a black
Quiet
man.
in the house today, huh?
Okay, it is what it is. I'll be honest with you.
Y'all can't hear me in here.
This question was asked earlier. A stereotype that I enjoy is just people just assuming that you got rhythm. I enjoy
That's
that.
not a stereotype, it's a fact.
Listen.
Until you find people clapping on 1 and 3.
Exactly. We was just talking about this in the
Who's
car
clapping
on
on
the
1 and
car
3?
ride here.
People do it.
Who clapped on 1 and 3?
There's a lot of people that
Are
praise.
people?
I want to be.
What?
Yeah, let me be careful. There's definitely a ton of our people that clap on the 1 and 3. And you know what is
Wow.
funny? It's just
That's different.
I was trying to break this down as a sign. Just go with me on this journey here, okay? So we were in the car on the way here, and we think it's the funniest thing in the world. We were like, I was showing Karina like, okay, this is the 2, this and the 4, this is the 1 and the 3. What's more natural and more comfortable? She gets it. She's like confused trying to clap on the 1 and 3 because we got
doesn't make
rhythm.
sense.
It don't make sense,
Exactly.
right? Even numbers. That's where we go. But you now follow me here. most of our white counterparts that do it, whenever they clap on 1 and 3, it's almost like they stomp and clap simultaneously.
At the same time.
Because the 1 and the 3 is your stomp, right? In the black church, when you clap, we're going to show an example right quick. So your foot is the 1 and the 3, right?
Yeah.
So whenever white people clap, it's more like, it's got to be simultaneous. And so I think they're getting a little confused. It might not even be the hands. It might be the feet, y'all.
It's the feet.
If you really think about it, I mean, just observe in your church on Sunday. Let me know. We need video proof and reviews so that we can really break this thing down, because we need to heal a nation from the 1 and 3.
Let me tell you one thing about the 1 and 3 though that I don't like. It's infectious.
It is.
Has it ever thrown you off? You know how to clap on the 2 or the 4. Your clap is now I can't clap right.
You gotta check yourself. Like, wait a minute. I gotta get up out of here.
No. So I was playing drums at church one day, right?
Oh,
It's
no.
these two folks that I don't know what beat they be on. They don't even be in the same song.
They go
It's
to
just
5 and 9.
I forgot what song we're playing. I'm playing whatever song, right? And eventually I just said, I had to close my eyes because if I was looking at them,
Yeah, it
I
would've
was
just
going
threw
to
you
play
off.
whatever they was
It's
clapping. No.
infectious.
It
man.
is.
It's
Oh, it was
infectious.
bad.
Wow.
Oh, it was bad.
Yeah, it's like a yawn. Yeah.
All right,
Oh,
what's
my
up?
goodness.
There's nothing worse than being in church and somebody doing the A or B selection and they cannot sing.
No, this man just
Nah,
said.
hold
Oh
on,
my
wait.
goodness.
No,
Now
I gotta
he-
make,
Go
I gotta
for
make
it.
sure they hear it. He said, "There's nothing worse than being in church and someone does an A and B selection." For those of y'all who don't know, that's 2 songs, by the way.
Yeah.
A
Some
or
people don't know about A and B selection.
Oh,
I just
man,
thought
see,
about that.
exactly. We had to
Black
explain
church.
Yeah,
They're
the
like,
A
what
and
does
B
that mean?
selection is, that's the songs you're gonna sing. But he said A or B selection, and they can't sing.
See, I think the criminal offense there is that it's 2 selections. I mean,
Yeah.
we can get away with a bad
Yeah,
A selection,
You
and
need to earn that
that's it.
second selection.
You gotta earn that second selection.
that's gotta be an encore.
Yeah.
True story, y'all. We was in church one time.
Ooh, I already know.
And first of all, the church is only like from the pulpit to the back wall, we talking like 10 feet. So everybody on the front row. If you're on the back
They
row,
getting
you're on the
everything.
front row. And this lady gets up and sing, and she goes, man. And Marquise was like dying laughing. Dying laughing at this lady singing. And wait, and my dad, y'all know, Pastor Brown, he don't play no games. And he was trying to correct him, but then Daddy started laughing too. I was like,
Oh my
everybody
goodness.
laughing, man. And it's like there's nowhere to hide, bro. It's one of them small black churches. Yeah.
that was a
Yeah, you gotta earn that
to make
selection.
things worse, not only could she not sing, because she legitimately sounded like
Ah,
man, but she didn't know the
She know
words to the
words.
song.
Oh,
She
no.
know the words.
So she's hopping around different parts of the song. Oh my gosh, it was one of the worst things ever. But one of the best church experiences I've ever had.
That's why I think everyone should go to a black church.
Absolutely.
That's a good
least
time,
once.
and
It's
a
an
small one
experience.
too.
Experience.
Yeah.
Not
It
a
can't be too
1,000
big.
seater. You
Yeah,
know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah, yeah.
Find one with like 5 to 100 people. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
A good time is going to ensue.
But eat before you get there, because you're going to be there all day.
Oh yeah,
gonna be
absolutely.
hungry.
You gonna you might have to rest on your feet for a while.
Yeah, rest on your feet. What kind of
What is
saying
that?
is that?
How do you
Rest
rest
on
on
your
your feet?
I'm like, wait a minute. Or the lift your hands and they prophesying to you for a good
Oh,
45
man. And
minutes.
your arms start
Your
hurting.
arms start
But
getting
if your
tired.
hand's not up, that means you're not receiving it.
Exactly.
So you got to,
That's what's wrong with you.
oh, man.
Yeah, you need to go to a good prayer service too and just tarry for the Holy Ghost.
Yeah,
And just
good prayer
Yeah,
service.
yeah,
Nah, I
good
don't
prayer
tarry.
service.
I don't tarry.
Don't tarry.
Don't tarry.
Come on, out of your belly, out of your.
The worst part about it is, not the worst part, the best part about it is, I just knew I was going to get in trouble. It's like in your mind before you feel the giggling coming up in your I just knew I was going to get in trouble. I was like, do I let this laugh out or do I just risk it? And I was trying to hold it.
That's how the Holy Ghost works.
Yeah.
That's just how the Holy Ghost works. It's like fire.
Hold
Shut
you
up.
try
in
to
your
hold
mouth.
That was holy laughter. Amen.
It's like fire. He couldn't hold it down. I understand. Trust me, it happens.
Black church is a great experience. Man.
Absolutely.
Black church is a
man.
great experience.
I want all my black counterparts to be able to engage in this conversation and actually know what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
definitely.
have a good laugh. You know what I'm saying? Laugh at somebody having bad breath praying for you.
Oh, not the
Jesus.
bad breath when you pray for folks.
Man.
Come on now.
You in black church, you
Those be some of the best words, though. You know,
I have experience. Let me tell you.
because you ain't gonna forget that one.
Nah, man.
Listen, you're not gonna
wait,
forget that
wait.
prayer. You remember that when you get
Not
home.
only you gonna forget
you
the
know what?
prayer, you're not gonna forget who prayed.
Absolutely.
You ain't getting in their line no
Listen,
more.
That's a fact.
You know, scent is some of the strongest memory sensors in your brain. So, like, if you smelled that, if you smelled that word, you gonna remember. it. So I think there might be purpose in that.
It's intentional.
I think God might have used somebody's breath that day
When we get
to let it sink in with your spirit.
when,
I
when we
can
get
preach
off,
right here.
When we get off camera, I'm gonna tell y'all somebody line. I'm not getting back.
Ooh-wee.
Because I was like, listen.
I think it might be time to
This
wrap
is
this
bad.
one up.
Yeah, that's about it. We a little past an hour anyways. Ladies
Yeah.
and gentlemen, it's been a wonderful time here at
Absolutely.
Three Good Guys Podcast. That's Rodney. That's Leonard. My name is Miles. Once again, shout out to our hosts, Markeith and Desiree. I appreciate y'all.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, all right, if you got black experiences, if you got black church experiences, let us know what they are down in the comments, all right? We want to know your black experiences, what you like, what you dislike. And, of course, tell all your friends and family, hit that like button, hit the share button, tell them to follow. We are on YouTube. We're on Spotify. We're on Apple Podcasts as well. We got to get the views up. We got to get the followers up, the subscribers up, all that good stuff.
Yes.
Because we got a lot more coming at y'all. With that being said, I think we're about done.
Yeah. See y'all next
That's
time.
it.